Good morning, everyone. My name is Lori Lytle, and I'll be hosting Mortgage Coaches Training Thursday. So today what we're going to work on is the rent versus own report. And with the rent versus own report, this is a great way to reach out to borrowers who've never had a mortgage, explaining the advantages of owning a home versus renting. And it's also a great piece to be able to provide your partners. So with what we're looking at here, I do have a presentation that was created by one of our members, and what he had done is he recorded a video and placed it on a rent versus own, and he used this as an open house presentation. So he was able to provide this to his realtors. And what I'd like to do right now is go ahead and place this link in the chat area of GoToMeeting, so you have that to be able to access and be able to view to see what some other people, how they're using the rent versus own report. So you have that link to this report in the chat area. And I also would like you to open up your question area in GoToMeeting and ask any questions along the way. So what we're going to do today is build this presentation for the rent versus own. And what's unique about our presentations is once you have the rent versus own, you can easily make this a total cost analysis. So I'll be able to show you how once you finish with the rent versus own, how you can create that TCA for the borrower as well. So what I'd like to do is have everyone log into Edge. So go to your Edge account and go ahead and log in and follow along with me in creating this presentation. And for those of you, even if you're not following along, what I would like you to do is open a report and follow along that way. So let me show you how you could do that. What I'd like you to do is when you're in your home screen, we're going to be focusing on the client section at the first part of our report hour today. And this is where the rent versus own and the total cost analysis are created. And to start a new one, you would just press New Client. But before we go there, let's go to the View All. If you click on View All, you can always sort down by name. So for any future presentations, you could sort this way. But just to show you, if you don't put anything, you'll have all your files, and you have an additional filter as well. So what I would like you to do is type in rent. And for those of you, the first time you've been into Edge, we provide sample presentations. So everyone should have this Jenny Renter presentation. So with that, click on that arrow, and you can click on the presentation. You can see when it was put in your file. The date, unless you've gone into it, is the date that you first logged into Edge. So with that, you could just go ahead and click on it and open it up, and you could follow along the presentation this way with me. And then when you go to the mobile, you'll be able to use this presentation on your mobile as we go through that process as well. So please just either go into your Jenny Renter or follow along and create a presentation with me. So with that, if you're creating the presentation, let's click on New Client, and let's start this process off. So with that, you could put in the borrower's name, and I'm just going to go ahead and put in my name. Suggestion, if you're creating the report, put your name in here too. This way it's easy to be able to identify, and this will be our test case for you to be able to create your rent versus own. So with that, as you come down, fill out the co-borrower, if you have a co-borrower, phone number as well. And then I want to point out the Own Rent button. What this is the toggle of the presentation styles. So we want to work on a rent versus own, so we need to click on the button Rent. That changes it from a total cost analysis to a rent versus own presentation. I mean, that's how simple. And that's how, once we're done, you could flip it back, and you can have a TCA with that same data. So that's how quick and easy it is to produce two presentations, and each presentation has its own unique link. So you can use both of them with your partner or your borrower, whichever way it may be. So when you can always capture a referral, partner email address. If they want to receive the alerts, you would go ahead and put in their email address. So I'm just putting in support@mortgagecoach.com. And I'm putting in a friendly name. I'm just putting in Thursday's training. And I'm putting in for that. So always with a friendly name, get in the habit of putting a friendly name in, because we do have a copy function That copy function will allow you to copy a presentation to another, but you always need a reference, and that's what this friendly name will provide you. So as we go to the next screen, you could go ahead and put in any type of goals if you would like to do that. But I'm just going to go ahead and move on to show you how easy it is to make a presentation. So what we're going to do is put in $1,400 rent with an annual increase of 3%. So you'll have these other fields, but you'll notice the ones in red. I want to point out the ones in red because this is one of the questions that came in through support, is the fields in red are data that we need. So say if I left that 3% empty and I advanced my screen, you'll notice at the very bottom I received an exclamation mark. And that's just letting you know to go to that screen and take a look at those red fields and see what's empty. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and put back in my 3%, and you'll see as I advance my screen, the exclamation mark is gone. So if you ever see that exclamation mark, just look at the screen and look at the fields in red and fill in that data. So that's a quick way of understanding it, and you'll be able to go through it. So now if you had rent insurance, you would want to capture that. This would be similar to their hazard or their taxes, that monthly cost. So say I have monthly rent insurance of $25. If you have any other type of monthly rent expense, you could place that in here so you capture that monthly cost. And now you could go into your standard deduction. So with the standard deduction, what you would want to do is click on the standard deduction. And with this, you're going to go ahead and do a begin. And what this will do is allow you to capture, to get some kind of an estimate for that standard deduction to be able to place on your TCA. So we're going to talk about last year, so 2014. We're continuing. And now you want to specify what kind of, are they married, unmarried, widowed, that type of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and put on single, unmarried. And my filing status was single again. We'll keep moving on. And yes, I did sign a tax return. And let's go ahead and put in some kind of date and month and year. There we go. And we're going to continue on. Yes, I do provide my own support. Once you go through this, it's actually quite simple and quick, and you'll be able to see those standard deduction. You'll notice as you start doing this, $6,200 will be that single amount for most of your cases. So just want to be able to point that out. So let's go ahead and place $6,200 in our standard deduction. And remember, it was just that button down here that took us to a web page to figure out that cost. So once we're done with our data in this screen, we advance our screen. And you can capture this information, but if you're making a marketing report, there's no need to really capture this data. So to show you what they are, what they'll do for you, let's go ahead and put in a gross annual income of $95,000. Credit status, again, this doesn't pull credit or anything. It's just if the borrower was talking with you and they identified what type of credit they had. So you put that in there. Say our monthly debt is $500. So when we come to our products, these areas here, these fields, are going to provide you that debt to income ratio. Again, it's a rough estimate, but again, this is providing that information to the borrower as you're collecting these details. So you'll be able to have the debt to income ratio. Savings balance. What the savings balance will do for you is be able to show if there's enough cash to close. So let's go ahead and put in $25,000 here, and 0.25 is their savings rate. And now let's go for that tax bracket. So if you're not sure of the tax bracket, that's fine, because again, we have Find Tax Bracket, another button that will take you to a web page. So let's go ahead. We identified that make $95,000. Let's go into the Find Tax Bracket. Let's put it for 2014, and I did have it marked as single. So if I go down to the 95,000 bracket, I'm at 28. So let's put 28% in our tax bracket area. I also want to point out for any of you who are doing MCC tax credit type loans, we do have the option and the capability of doing that by clicking on tax credits. You'll be able to fill out this information, and you can have one product showing the MCC credit, another showing without. So you could really show that advantage of being able to receive that credit. So as we move on to our next screen, just affordability, I'm going to go ahead and move on. This is just a conversational screen. You can capture that data. But let's now move to our products. So I'm going to build an FHA product, a VA product, and a conventional, just to be able to show you how you'll be able to build those products as well as being able to save a template. So with that, if there's any other kind of products you want to see done, we can do for. Put it in the question area, and I can develop that product for you. So let's start with an FHA product. So let's do an FHA 3.5% down. And for those of you who are on enterprise accounts, you might already have some product templates developed for you. So if you go to that drop down, you could just find your FHA product, be 3.5%. Find out what it is. Go ahead and use that as your down pay, as your template. This will provide you your upfront MI as well as your monthly costs. So what I'm going to do is leave that empty, so this way we'll be able to create that template, tell you the certain items that you need to capture, and then at the very end we'll save it. So let's go ahead and put in $250,000 as our purchase price. Open up the percentage and put in 3.5%. And we're going to have a 4% interest rate and a 360 churn. So it's just basic data. The one item I did forget to mark is upfront premium. So what this field will do, if you look at the different drop downs, you have FHA, VA, USDA, and single premium. So we're working on an FHA product. So let's go ahead and select the FHA. And what this is going to do is in our cost screen provide us the upfront MIP field. So it's important to have that marked. And then as we advance our screen, there's two things I want you to notice. First, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll notice that there's no graphs or anything. As soon as I advance the screen, you're going to start seeing that data being built. You have your graph for our first product. This is just the P&I payment since we haven't added any monthly costs. Below that, you have your debt-to-income ratio as well as your loan-to-value. So you have all that information right below toward the right. So now let's go ahead and add prepaid interest. It's common to just quote 15 days prepaid interest, but see what your company does and go ahead and indicate that number. Upfront MI, click on the percentage field and let's put in 1.75%. Those of you who have opened the Jenny Renter, you'll be able to see this information and it will already be filled out. So let's go ahead and mark it add upfront MIP to the loan amount, and it'll take that figure and add it to your loan amount. So now let's go and discuss fees. How do we enter our fees in here? We go into our closing cost details. In our closing cost details, again, if you're on an enterprise account, you might have some fee templates built for you. If not, and you want fee templates built for you, please contact us at support@mortgagecoach.com. We can assist your company with developing those fee templates. But just to show you how you can sort down that list for fee templates, say you have a particular state you're originating in, identify that, and then you'll be able to see the different fee templates that are connected with that particular state. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and bring down a fee template that I already have built. If you don't have a fee template built, don't worry about that. We'll be able to go ahead and show you how to be able to build these. We do have great video tutorials. It's very simple. There's two buttons down at the base, add fee and add custom fee. And just want to point out, if you ever want to add a fee, all you do is click on add fee. You'll see in the drop down, you'd be able to say I want underwriting, so I'm typing the letter U. It drops me to the U. I can select my fee, put in the dollar amount, and then mark it as an APR. So that's how you can add an APR fee. I'm going to remove it from my template. And if you have a specific fee that you want to, that's not listed in that drop down, you can create a custom fee template or fee label. So clicking on Add Custom Fee, you can see how you can name your fee. So custom fee. You can indicate if the percentage is based on the loan amount or the property value. Property value is also sales price. You can also mark it as a prepaid, so if it's not a cost to the loan, any type of escrows or earnest money, things like that, they're not cost of loan, you always want to make sure that you have it marked as a prepaid. And then if a fee is an APR, you can go ahead and default it as an APR. Once you have done that and press OK, you now have that custom fee in your drop-down, so you can use it from loan to loan and not have to create that fee again. So I just wanted to point out really quick how you be able to add a fee and add a custom fee. Some of your fee templates might have some zeros, like for lender's title, so you would just want to go in and put in those costs in the system for you. And just to point out, there's one last thing I want to be able to mention. If you're in a template and you pull it down, but say your appraisal fee might be slightly different for your particular branch, it's fine. Make any adjustments to your fees. You can override it, update the amount. You can even remove it by a trash can. So with that trash can, it would remove that fee altogether. But look at the very base. You have Save as Template. So this will help you build those templates, so it will take just save you time as you create these presentations. So when you click as Save as Template, say I'm doing California fees, and I'm putting Trading Thursday just so I have it labeled for myself so we can tell the difference. And then you can also identify the state. So if I identify it as California only, fee template, press OK, you'll now see that it's been added to your fee template dropdown. So that's a quick way. If you make any modifications, always remember to go ahead and build your templates out. And it's quick to do it when you're doing creating a presentation. So with that, once you've modified your fee template, saved it as a template, always apply it to the loan. So I applied that amount, and you'll see now my fee areas I have grayed out. So I have my APR costs, non-APR, and contributions. If you ever need to make a modification to those fees, always go back to the closing cost details and make your modifications here.
Ramon, I wanted to give you a quick
just one moment.
It's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath house. It's beautiful. As you can see in the background.
Just one second. I have my report going. There we go. Sorry. I have my selfie that I put in the chat box, so to turn it on and playing. So now let's go ahead on points. So points, I just want to point out, you could go ahead and place in, say, a positive point. You hover your mouse over it, you can see that dollar amount. You can also put in that rebate amount. So say if it was 0.5%, you can see that's a positive. You can also enter it as a negative. So you'll be able to capture that rebate cost if you'd like in this area here. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and remove my points. Now let's go into our monthly cost screen. So once we develop this one, our next two products, we're going to use the copy function and modify it. So this way you can see how you can, again, move fast and quick through Edge. So with that, let's go ahead and place in our hazard and property tax. So with the hazard, I'm going to go ahead and put 0.35. Property tax, I'm putting 1.25. So you can see with those factors, it went ahead and provided me that monthly amount. Now with mortgage insurance, we're doing the FHA, so that's 0.85% is your MI factor. You're calculating MI on the balance. This is an FHA and USDA requirement. This will provide that declining balance. And lastly, put the minimum MI months of 360. With that, this is taking the MI for the life of the loan, which is what FHA requires, and you have the declining balance. So always remember to mark the Calc MI on balance, as well as providing your minimum number of months for MI. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and collect 2 months reserve, 4 months of tax reserves, and 12 months premium. So you will have all that information. It's been added to your fee cost now. So to show you, I'm going to move back one screen. You'll see I have prepaid escrows now in a dollar amount. And if we go into our closing cost details, If you see toward the bottom of the screen, you have your hazard reserves, your tax reserves, as well as your premium. You'll notice these fields are grayed out, so if you need any adjustments to the dollar amount, you need to do it in the monthly cost screen. To show you how these both work together, if I remove my reserves from my fee list by pressing the trash can, I apply it to the loan, and then you'll notice in the closing cost area, my hazard reserve number of months has been removed. So I'm going to go ahead and place that back in there, but I wanted to show you the connection between the monthly cost as well as the closing cost details. So now let's add our second product, add another product, and let's go ahead and do this as an FHA, or I mean a VA. So let's go ahead and do VA, 0 down. And what I'm going to do is show you a way to be able to move quicker through this process since we've already done our fees and we've done our monthly costs. So use that copy from button, and with that you can see all the products that have been built. So let's take our FHA product and change it to a VA. So let's press OK. You'll see how all our data went ahead and carried down for us. Let's modify it now. So upfront premium, let's change it to VA. Let's change our 3.5% down to 0. I'm going to leave it at the same interest rate. And now let's advance our screen and we get to the closing costs. So now upfront MI label has been changed to funding fee for VA. And now let's change that percentage. So let's open up that percentage field and put in 2.15. So once I put in the funding fee, you'll see that that dollar amount recalculated, and I added that funding fee to the loan amount. So now sometimes your fees might be slightly different from an FHA to a VA. What you could do is click on closing cost details. If you have a VA template, pull it down, use that one. If you haven't created a VA template but you know things are slightly different than your FHA, make the modifications here and save your fee template for a VA. So that again is how you can work, create a presentation, and build out these templates at the same time. So with that, that's how you would just modify your fees, create a new template, and then move on to the next product. So I'm going to leave the fees the same, and then let's move to our monthly cost screen. We already have our hazard and our property tax, but we need to remove that mortgage insurance. So let's open up the percentage field, remove the percentage field. You can leave the 360. I'm just removing it. It would have, since there's no factor, it has no value, but I went ahead and cleaned that up. So that's it. That was our VA product. We were able to copy from the FHA and then make it a VA. So now let's just change it really quick and we'll do a conventional and we'll be done, and let's talk about the product. And then we'll talk about the presentation, show you how to be able to add a video as well and use that mobile device. So let's add another product. Let's just do a conventional 5% down. Use that copy from button. I'm going to copy from my FHA product. I'm going to move it and mark none for my upfront premium. You'll notice now when we go to the next screen for our upfront MI, it's going to be removed. Let's change 3.5 to 5% down, and let's do 4.25 for the interest rate. Once I've made those adjustments, I advance my screen, and you can see how, I have the additional graph as well as the debt to income ratio. Again, you'll see at the very bottom there's no more FHA upfront MI because I placed none in that drop down in the previous screen, and same with the VA funding fee. So again, go back to your closing cost details, make any modification because this is an FHA template we pulled. Any changes, a lot of times they might have a tax service where the FHAs do not, a tax service fee. You would just add it. I'm going to tax service fee, place it as $76 and mark it as APR. That's how easy it is, and then you would just come down here and then label it as your conventional fees. So just want to point out how quick and easy it is to develop those templates. So now let's apply to loan, and let's look at our monthly costs here. So we do have our taxes and insurance, but now let's change our mortgage insurance. Our insurance is actually going to be 0.69 factor. It's not calculated on the balance, so I'm removing that. And it's not being carried for the life of the loan, so I'm removing that. And then the MI for conventional loans will be cutting off once the LTV reaches the 78%. So that's how this particular item will be read. Okay, so we're done with our 3 products. Or if there's any questions on those products, please put it in the question area and we'll go ahead and address them. So let's just advance through our screen. We have our rent analysis summary. I have our property appreciation rate at 3. I'm showing a short term of 60 and a long term of 15. We won't touch base on it, but want to point out that you do have the just reinvestment strategy where you can apply amounts to principal or to a savings account or investment account. Want to point out this is that savings balance we keyed in the affordability screen as well as that rate. You can see how it then provides that cash to close and the savings balance. So how I was talking about earlier, how you could see if they have enough money for cash to close, this is how you could do that quick check. So you'd be able to see that information in your reinvestment strategy screen. I'll also show you on the report, the presentation, where that information also is located. So as you move through, you have your contact information. You can fill out information here. Same with the street address, especially if it's a marketing piece. We want to be able to provide that to the partner. We're doing the rent versus own report. And make sure you have payment notes in here. And something like estimated taxes and insurance are included on your payment is something that's really good to be able to provide because it is a compliance piece and you want to be able to acknowledge about taxes and insurance. So with that, once you place that payment notes in there, we advance the screen. We're done. You can keep going. It's just going to go through the different graphs just for you to take a look at those. So one more time. You can always skip just on all our presentations. If you hover your mouse over presentation and you go directly to the preview jump out, that preview jump out is always the last screen, and this last screen is where that link is placed. So let's go ahead and we'll talk about this screen. First off, let's put on our quote date. I want to make sure we know when those rates are quoted. Very important to place that on there. And now let's take a look at our preview. So with that, you could see how the rent versus own report. So let's talk about this a little bit. We'll bring up the mobile in just a moment. So you can see here you have your rent. It was $14.25. But then you can see how that monthly cost for that payment that they're getting with the mortgage, it is higher. So this is how you can start educating your borrowers on understanding the benefits of homeownership. So what we have done is we placed in that tax benefit that they would receive, and then as well as how much principal, amount of that payment is going toward principal. So again, with rent, you can see nothing is being applied to principal, and therefore they're not building wealth in their equity. But you can see how each month, how much they're paying down that principal amount. So with that, what we do is we take that total payment, we subtract out the tax benefit, the principal paid, and that is their net monthly payment. So you can see how on all these products, even though the total payment is higher, that their net monthly payment is actually lower than rent. And they're building that principal, that net worth in their home where they're renting, they won't be building that. So with that, now let's go and take a look at that net monthly payment screen. So what this is doing is taking that $1,280, that net monthly payment, and then it's providing also what that net payment is for each of the products. So this also shows it in that quick and easy graphical format so they could just be able to look opposed to doing all the math in this area and looking at numbers. So you can see how much they'll be able to pay out with that net savings over that rent information. You also have rent versus principal paid. So with that, this is how much $90,000 in 5 years they would pay out with rent. But and then that, again, is not coming back to their pocket. But as they start making their payments for a mortgage, they're going to start applying to principal. So in that 5 years, they would have paid $23,449 on an FHA product, and then 24, a little over 24 on the VA, and 21 on the conventional. So with that, you can also go into that more info button and dig into those costs deeper in this area. But again, it's showing the borrowers, the ones who haven't owned that home, how much they're really taking money and not applying it to their net worth. And then again, we also have rent versus principal paid over a 15-year period, and you can see how, you know, it's quite a bit different. So you'll be able to show the borrowers how they'll be able to have that advantage of home ownership. So with that, let's go ahead and also let's go back to Edge. Let's show you how you can place a video through the computer, and then we'll switch it over to the mobile. We'll start talking mobile. So with the Edge, I click back to my Edge. Let's go to the Generate Link. And with the Generate Link, I want to be able to point out, this is the link that you want to be able to copy and paste and put in your email. This is what the borrower will click on and be able to view your presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this link and place it in the chat area for you to click on, and you can view the report while I am showing you Edge Live, so you can see that experience the borrower is going to have. Now let's take a look, and we'll add audio and video. So click on Add Audio Video, and it's also really easy to add this video on mobile, and that's what we're going to do right after, show you how to be able to do that. So you can see you have the presentation gets pulled up one more time. And in the lower left-hand corner, you see we have Record Message. If you click on that, you'll see that the box comes up. Hi, everyone. I'm Lori. So with that, you could go ahead and record your message. So you can see at the very bottom, you have the Record button. So if you click on that, you'll notice at the top it's starting to record. You also have a pause. So if you wanted to pause, you could pause and then go ahead and start recording. You also have the stop button, as well as if you want to remove it, you just need to press that trash can there, and then you have your play button. So with that, I want to point out two items at the base. Repeat video. So if you're working with an open house or this rent versus own presentation for a partner, you can have this play in their open house by just clicking on that repeat video. So I want to point that out. So let's go ahead and stop this, and we're completed. So that's one way of being able to provide a video on your presentation through your computer, your laptop. But again, it's so much easier if you have that mobile device to be able to place it on the mobile. So let's go ahead and bring up my mobile devices and be able to show you that. Just one moment. Just a second. Oh, there we go. Almost there, everyone. Whew. There we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead, and I'm going out of this report, and let's place the link to this report. And you can always copy this link. On the presentation on the lower right-hand side on the desktop, you'll see there's a share button. On that share button, it provides that link. So what I'm going to do is take that number and place it onto my cell phone. And if you have your mobile device all handy, you'll be able to go ahead and place it in there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and backspace, and let's go ahead and put in this number. It's 1, B as in boy, N as in Nancy, O as in octopus, A as in apple, and G as in goat. And it will go ahead and bring up this presentation here. Let's click this up. So you can see with this presentation, you could go ahead and press I understand, and then it will have that information just like you have on that desktop. So this way, if your borrowers or partners can view your presentation anywhere they're at. They don't have to wait to be at a desktop or their laptop to view the presentation, but they could do this on their mobile device. So with that, just want to point out you have your information, the loan officer's information right here. Your logo will be right at the top. And then you have all your information toward the right-hand side. So if we go into summary, you have all that summary information that you have in this area here. You scroll upward, you can see all the data that's there, as well as the payment stream button that you could click on. And then you'll notice at the base, you have your payment breakdown, closing costs, and reinvestment. These three screens can be found in the More Info button. So let's click on the More Info. And let's just touch base with that really quick. Whoops. You can see how with the graph you have the payment breakdown, and then you have your closing costs. Let's bring this back up and see how it moved to the closing costs. And then you also have the reinvestment strategy. So you can see how in relationship it just matches the exact same item that is on the desktop. You have your net monthly payments, graph, and then you can also click on your information up there, More Info, and get those details. I'm clicking on my arrow going back, and you can do that for each of those screens here. So that's how you maneuver going through the report and viewing the report. So now what you would want to do is be able to slide the presentation. Whoops, I'm on an Android. You need to use that back arrow and come back to the front screen. If you're on an Apple, just go ahead and swipe it to the right, and it will go and bring you to the home screen on the mobile. What you'll notice on the mobile is in the upper right-hand corner or left-hand corner is the silhouette. This is your login. So if you click on that silhouette, you can see how you could go ahead and place in your email address. So I'm going to go ahead and put in compliance@mortgagecoach.com. And you would just go ahead and place in your email address. And once you've logged in once, you won't have to log in again until you log yourself out. So makes it a little convenient. And then also our password. And let's go ahead and log in. Okay. So now on our, once you have logged in, and if you're on your mobile device with me, log in. This is where you can access that Jenny Renter if you had walked through the report. So we're going to go ahead and access the clients by clicking on clients. And you can see that all the last files that you've accessed will be listed here. If you had walked through the Jenny Renter, you'd be able to click on that and be able to shoot a video from this one as a practice. I'm going to use the presentation that I created right here. And you can see how you could do a total cost analysis, a seller buy down, or the rent versus own. So we're working on the rent versus own report. And you can view the report, but in this case I want to show you how you could go ahead and use video. So once you go to video, whoa, there you go. So you would just go ahead and place your message on here. You'll also notice that the upper right-hand corner, you could flip the camera around. And if you wanted to walk around, you can either do a selfie, you could do different information like that, and be able to record at the same time. So you can see how you can have quite a few different functions within there and be able to record the video. And that's what I was mentioning earlier. Even though you do have the desktop, the mobile is the quicker, easiest way to really place your message onto the presentation. And not only that, even though the first time you reach out, it's an introduction video, what you would want to do is use the video each time with your borrowers if you have to update them on any information. You can always go ahead, instead of writing that email, open up your report, go ahead and record a new message to them, and then send them a note saying such, and they would just open that link and listen to the report. So you have that. So let's go ahead and go back to, we have our clients. Also, we have views today. If you have reports out that have been viewed, it would show you how many that have been reviewed today. And of those views, how many reports were they from? So you can see I don't have any views today viewing my report. As soon as we close out today, we'll be able to have some more, and they'll be on there. And then lastly, let's go back into that silhouette. I want to point out one other area the silhouette in the upper left-hand corner, that's your account as well. You'll notice a prompt for album videos. You do, a lot of times what people will do is have a pre-recorded video of their process. So as the borrower makes that commitment, you can upload a video and tell them about the next steps of what they're going to expect. And to do that, you would just prompt, make sure this is marked, prompt for the album, and then you could do a search and upload a video to the presentation. So not only you could do a fresh one, you can also do a pre-recorded. But always the first time, it's always best to provide a personalized greeting, a personalized message through that video. Okay. So now what I would like to do is let's go ahead and go back to the presentation. And let me show you how you can change this from a rent versus own to a total cost analysis. And Kelly, I see that you have a question. If you do have one, go ahead and put it in the question area. I don't see it in there, but I did see your hand raised. So if you do have a question, if you could go ahead and place it in the question area, I can answer that for you. Okay. So now let's go into Edge. I'm going to close out, and let's go to the client. So I'm going to go back to our very first screen. And let's change it from rent to own. So once I change it to own, let's go to the presentation, go to preview, place a quote date. Got to put that because it's a different presentation than the rent versus own. It's a completely different presentation. And let's do a preview. So now not only did you provide the borrower information about the rent versus own report and providing them the advantages of rent or owning versus renting, you then can switch it and provide them more details about their different products. I also noticed that I have a current mortgage on here, so let's remove that current mortgage. Go back to Edge. I'm clicking on Client. If I advance the screen in my goals, just mark it as a purchase. When you mark it as a purchase, that removes that current mortgage, and it will be also removed from your presentation. So you can see in just a moment that it's going to be updated, and you can see how that current mortgage has been removed, and now we just have our 3 products. You'll notice that I've been highlighting along the way. All I do is hover your mouse over the field and left click. That's how easy it is to highlight. Left click again, it removes the highlight as well. If you click on the title of the product, it will highlight the whole column. This is a good idea to be able to, at the end, and the borrower's made the commitment, you could go ahead and highlight which product as the column and leave it there. So that way they know which product they chose. So that's an option to be able to do with that highlighting. And want to be able to point out the clear all button at the base. That clear all button doesn't clear out data, but it clears out the highlights all at once. So it's a good way of just erasing that board and starting fresh. So I want to point out, let's go ahead and bring back the mobile, and I'm going to show you how to be able to use Edge Live to be able to talk to the borrower. Not only can this be done on the TCA, which we're looking at, you could use this Edge Live also with the rent versus own report. So to be able to show you how this works, I'm going to go ahead and we'll work it with the, actually let's go to the TCA. I'm going to share. I'm copying that link. That link I'm also placing in the chat area if you want to take a look at it. I'm going to open a new tab and place that link in there. So you have the link in the tab. And just as a borrower would click on it, you can see how we have the disclosure that comes up. So before the borrower does anything, they have to click I understand to read this information. And for those of you, this is the language, this first sentence here, this is per TRID. It's any loan estimate that you provide. You need to make sure you have this language on it, and Mortgage Coach has that for you. It's on both the print copy as well as the web. So now let's go ahead and pull this tab off, and we're going to put it side by side, and I'm going to bring the mobile over as well. So give me one moment to set up this screen, and if you have any questions in the meantime, just go ahead and provide those to me. Let's go ahead and narrow this back. And let me bring up the correct report. It's always helpful. Okay, and that's the TCA. Let's get the rent versus own. No, we want the TCA. Okay, there we go. So now let's show you how this process works. So you can do this with the rent versus own, the open house flyer, and this is how you can communicate with the borrower. So if you're talking about the loan amount, want to talk about the different loan amounts, you can see how I highlight on the left-hand side, which is my version, the loan officer's copy, but the borrower's copy automatically highlights. You can see how it does that for it. So this is how you as a loan officer can drive that presentation for your borrower or for your partners. A lot of times Taffy has a question for sharing the links with realtors and teaching them let's see. Okay. So any specific verbiage, teaching them details. I'll show you some scripting we have. A lot of times what people do is create a video, create a presentation, provide it to that realtor as that opening, and then they'll be able to, once you have that relationship, it's usually face-to-face because you have that kind of information, and they can show them how to be able to share it and such like that. But let's, at the end, I'll show you where we could go, and I can give you some tips for that aspect. So going back to Edge Live, also want to point out you could click on the More Info buttons, and you can see how when you click on the More Info buttons, it will also drive the borrower's presentation as well. And let me bring up my iPad, be able to show you really quick on how you'll be able to drive the iPad as well. So let's go ahead and open up that share button, and let me key in that ID real quick for you. It's, whoops, 1, B as in boy, N, O, U, H. So key that in, and then I'll bring this up, and you can see not only will it drive the presentation there we go, the presentation on a desktop. If the borrower is using a mobile device, a phone or an iPad, and this is an iPad, it's really good to be able to use this and place an iPad or a tablet in an open house and have that video playing over and over, and then the borrowers can come up and touch it and actually look, be able to dive into your information. And the realtor, as Taffy was mentioning, the realtor can also share this report, and let me just bring this up a little bit bigger. You'll see the share report on all your mobile devices, and what this will allow you or your partner, even your borrowers, if they want to share it with their financial planner or maybe their parents or a brother, you could share the report by clicking on that button. You could share it as an email. They could share it as an SMS text. So if I choose email, you can see how it will just ask for the email address. You could BCC anyone, so if you want to also have your partner on there, you could BCC them. And you can see how that link is automatically in that email. So you could be able to provide it this way. You could send it as a text, and it works the same function where a screen will come up with the information, and you just put in that phone number. So it's a really easy to be able to share that information with your borrowers, with your partners, by just using that share report button. So with that, let me go ahead and bring this down a little bit. I'm going to clear out all my highlights, and you can see how it went ahead and cleared it out on the screen. So now let's talk about the VA product. So with that VA product, I went ahead and highlighted, and you can see how highlighted for this product as well. And you can see how it also highlighted and drove the iPad. So I can remove the highlights, and it can remove all those highlights, and you see how it drove the mobile device. So let's just click on interest rates and just be able to see how that is working and how it's driving not only that, but the mobile. So you can see how when you're talking to the borrower, you can't really do this with an email or an Excel, is reaching out and really being able to point out these items to the borrower. So you could talk about their P&I payment and the monthly cost for that particular product by highlighting it, and then that total pity payment. So you can see how it's being driven on both the desktop as well as the mobile device. You could discuss your fees, APR fees, but you can dive into the details even. So you could go into the fee details, and you could, see how when I click on Doc Prep, it drops it and highlights it on the mobile. Drop it to the processing fee, again, it will go ahead and drop on both of those. But this is if you want to talk to them about their hazard premium, their reserves, you have that here as well. So you can see how just by me explaining this report to you, how I'm driving it and being able to drive this information to the borrower. So you even have that reinvestment strategy. This was where that savings amount was, so you could see how much cash to close that they have. So you'd be able to point this kind of information out as well. So with that, that's how you drive the presentation. That's how you use Edge Live in a dynamic way of really reaching out to your borrowers and being able, and your partners, and really be able to educate them about the right loan option and really dive into the details with that. So, as well as providing that video. So with that, what I want to do is wrap up, show you where you can access your settings. So if you haven't placed your picture on your report, the presentation, the upper right-hand corner, I want to show you how to do that, as well as where you would find, where you would make changes for your fee templates and product templates. So as we go into settings, this is your contact information. Please make sure all your information is complete. Confirm that your license number does have an identifier in front of it, and it's just not a loan number. You want to be able to let the borrower know what that number represents. Confirm your your address, and if you make any changes, always press save, so that way it saves that data to your account. If you have any fields that are grayed out that need changed, just email us at support. We'll be able to assist you with that process. Going to images, upload your logo. If you're on an enterprise account, this might be uploaded for you already. Just browse, upload your image here. Next two tabs are your feed template tabs. So you can see how all the different feed templates I have here. If you needed to modify any, you could just click on the template itself. You could remove a fee, modify a fee, and this is where you do all that upkeep in this area here. Also want to point out, you could delete product fee or product templates if you have too many. Go ahead and clean them up by just go ahead and press delete. You also have a save as, so once you make one template, you can always press save as and copy it to a new fee template and make the changes there. And lastly, in the lower left, you have fees button. And what that does, if you have any custom fees, maybe you forgot to mark it as an APR and you want to do that, go ahead and indicate so. Or maybe you want to change a description itself. If that's the case, you can modify that all in that fees button. And that's located in that left-hand corner right there. Lastly, going to product templates. This is where your product templates are. And again, you can do the same things like fees. You can update any of the templates. You could go ahead and remove items too. I don't like interest rates being defaulted, so I'm removing my interest rate. But again, you could go ahead and modify those templates in this area as well. So with that, what I want to do, let's go to that area. Okay, let me see. And also, what we're going to do is going to go over to our knowledge base shortly. And with that, I'm going to show you a couple items, and you'll be able to, I just went ahead and put in the TCA link in the chat area. And we'll also have the links posted in the YouTube, and I'll show you how to access that. And now I'm doing the rent versus own in there. And I think I got rid of my selfie. So with that, so when you're in Edge, any kind of questions, click on the Help button. That will bring you to our knowledge base. And with that, just also want to point out we're doing some maintenance between 8 a.m. tonight and 1 a.m. in the morning. So if you're planning to work late at night, please make sure you're off the system before 8. Now next, I want to point out that scripting. So there's a lot of sales scripting right here. So if I go ahead and click on MC Scripts, I want to point out, because this particular script is good for realtors and being able to provide them information. So you have information as well, how to position yourself with clients, with borrowers, how you position yourself with the clients here, and this is a great email template here that you could copy and paste. How to coach your agents. Here's another scripting that you'll be able to use as well, and some more there. And then lastly, you have your core questions that you want to ask the realtors. You have those items here that you would want to be able to provide. And then here's a review checklist for that video. So we do have some questions for you to be able to reach out and be able to ask the realtor, be able to prompt that information. The current info. Okay, let me go back to Edge, Jennifer. And I think what you're asking, if you go into settings, is it the contact info? That's the current info. That's the contact information here. But the way I got to that knowledge base, I pressed the help button, and that's where I got to this page. You know, and Taffy, I know we do have more detailed instructions. If you email us at support, we'd be able to provide that. I know we have some of the more detailed emails that we can provide you. And then, so besides the scripts, we also have best coaching calls, sales training. Want to point out our event calendar. This will provide you all our different special trainings as well as the different events we have. So you have all our different coaching calls listed. Want to dive in deeper on the mobile. Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. we do have the mobile conversation, and we just focus on that conversation and host and having that with your borrowers and such. So every Wednesday at 11 we have that. And then the Mortgage Coach University. And what I always suggest, click on the link just to see what's out there. We train on many different, for the first 3 weeks of the month, we have many different trainings, and we know you can't attend all of them. But just take a look. It's a great way of understanding what Mortgage Coach can do for you. So not only do we have different types of presentations, we have widgets, we have different ways for you to reach out to the borrower. So just review this list to be able to see all the different items that can be done within your Mortgage Coach account. And then lastly, if we go to the coaching call page, this call will be listed under here, as well as all our coaching calls. And let me go ahead, here's our Edge Beginner. If you're a beginner and haven't attended a training before, we do have a beginner's course. It's every Monday at 9 a.m. But I wanted to point this out to you. Here's our beginning course. But on all our, I want to point out, there's a more button. If there's any kind of scripting or links, if you click on that, it will go ahead, oh, show more right here. It will provide you that information. So for today's call, it's recorded, and we'll have all those links I used, and it will be in that information right here. So any type, if you watch any of our video tutorials, just always look at that show more. Make sure you got all the details. Some of the Josh Meadows and other coaching calls, we provide handouts, and we put it in this more area. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's call. If there's any questions at all that you may have, I'll stick around, answer those. But thank you so much, and let us know how we can help you with Edge. Please use our support system. Email us at support@Mortgage Coach, and we'll be able to assist you right away. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the day, and I will be around for a few moments if you have questions. Okay, with that, I don't see any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap the call for today. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your day.